Game Face. Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian, and welcome to Space Quest 4, Roger Wilco and the Time Rippers, the ultimate playthrough. Now, I've really been looking forward to this one, and I know some people in the comments have also really been looking forward to me tackling this one. I think the main reason would be that Space Quest 4 was the first Space Quest game to take the leap into 256 color VGA graphics, which means that it has that more sort of stylized comic book kind of feel to it, instead of the previous 3 games that had only 16 colors to work with. And the second one is that Space Quest 4 was the first Space Quest game to get a full CD-ROM talkie version, which means that, people were sitting there reading aloud all the dialogue in the game, including a certain Mr. Gary Owens, who would go on to be absolutely, indispensably iconic as far as Space Quest fans are concerned. May his memory and God rest his whatever and all of that junk. It's such a huge loss to Space Quest fans that Gary Owens sadly kicked the bucket. But the main reason that I'm excited to play this game is because I'm going to play a version of it that I don't think that anyone on YouTube has done. If they have, I haven't seen it, so if I haven't seen it, then it does not exist. Anyway, I'm going to play a very specially patched fan version of the game. Now, don't worry, nothing's been taken out. In fact, a lot of things have been taken in, as it were. I'm playing what's called the New Rising Sun patch, and it's a patch that a person who called himself New Rising Sun, maybe he still does, I don't know why I used the past tense there. Anyway, he made a patch for Space Quest 4, the CD-ROM version, which would take all of the enhanced audio, that would be the voiceovers and a lot of all the good stuff that this CD version gave us, but it would patch in the graphics from the disc version. Back in 1991, games would usually come on either floppy disks or CD-ROMs. It was one of those transition periods where you kind of had to release something on both formats because not all people had CD drives. Certainly not in 1991. They're actually kind of a commodity. So when Space Quest 4 was released on CD, Sierra actually went in and did a lot of things to it. They didn't just add voices and called it a day and shipped that thing off. No, they changed a lot of graphics as well. Some minor, little bits and bobs here and there, but the main consensus amongst most Space Quest fans, I'm kind of speaking on people's behalf here, but the consensus is that not all of these changes were very good. In fact, there are a lot of us who would go on record and say that the original disc version graphics are superior in pretty much every which way. So what this patch does is it takes the graphics from the disc version and merges it into the CD-ROM version. It also fixes some very nefarious bugs that had crept into the CD version when that thing was released. The most egregious one, and also the most infamous one, is that the timer. Now, see, a lot of puzzles in Space Quest 4 run on a timer. You have to do something really quickly, otherwise you get shot and you die. And some genius, no one really knows who, some genius went in and actually reprogrammed the engine of the game to not be dependent on any sort of cycle count, like something you could measure, like it would be the same on every machine. No, Space Quest 4 CD ran based on the speed of your computer, so the faster your computer was, the harder the game was. And this made some scenes in the game very, very hard to beat if you had more than, say, an old 486 or one of the first Pentiums even. Very, very quickly, Space Quest 4 CD became one of those really unplayable games where the game was so unfair that, most people couldn't beat it just because they thought that, oh, well, this is just such a hard game. This is really awful. I can't beat it. This is one of the most sadistic games in the world. And it really wasn't, at least not in the disc version, the one that they actually programmed well. So the New Rising Sun patch also went in and fixed those timer bugs. Now, with today, you've got DOSBox, so you can turn down the cycles. You can actually run Space Quest 4 in Scum VM. I'm not doing that today. We're going old school, baby. But if you run it in Scum VM, then all of these issues have been patched and long forgotten. But Oh my god, the frustration of being a Space Quest fan back in like the mid to late 90s and trying to play Space Quest 4 on what was then second, third, fourth generation of Intel Pentium machines. Holy shit. It was brutal. So, I'm really looking forward to playing Space Quest 4. I hope you're excited too, because we are playing not only the new Rising Sun patch, but we are playing it with MT32 audio, the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And we're also playing it with, of course, voices, digital voices, Gary Owens in particular as the narrator. Oh my god. So, I know you're all psyched to get started, and so am I, but I thought we might first check in with my pal Danny.
Hi, I'm Dan Avedon, Danny Sexbang on the interwebs, and this is my introduction to the Space Quest Historians playthrough of Space Quest 4. Oh baby, Space Quest 4. This is probably... I think this is the one that the two guys from Andromeda are the proudest of. This was the game that I think when I saw it for the first time, I was like, holy you know what? I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to curse on somebody else's playthrough. But I was like, gosh, those graphics are really good. And listen to that voice. You know, Gary Owens narrated it. And that guy had a golden pipe. And his voice made it so much stronger and kind of gave Space Quest the series an identity in a way, that voice, because suddenly when you went back and played through the earlier games, at least for me, I would hear his voice, you know, doing the narrating, and it just made everything so much funnier. Huge leap in graphics for this one, huge leap in story and character building. This is the first one that introduces you to Beatrice Wankmeister, your super hot, gorgeous wife to be, and it really is a triumph, this game. I know there was difficulty in development. The Mark and Scott have said in interviews that like the difficulties they had making this led to kind of the dark tone at the beginning of the game, but it's just a solid game all the way through, and really, really enjoyable. Lots of memorable stuff. Beautiful to look at. I'd give it a 10. You know, even after all this time, there's just something timeless about it, which is funny because it's about going through time. But you know, the fourth wall in this game is just destroyed completely because you are actually jumping from game to game and, you know, into your own future and other futures that probably will never exist. Like, it's a blast, and I'm looking forward to this playthrough because there's I would be surprised if the two guys from Andromeda are prouder of anything they've done other than this. Maybe the new thing they're working on, Space Venture, but this is a truly, truly special game, not just in terms of Sierra games or adventure sci-fi games, but just games in general. This is an incredible contribution to that world. So please enjoy.
Thank you, Danny, my boy. I promise never to call you that again. Anyway, let us get this show on the road. Whoops. Yeah, it looks a bit better when you've actually got the aspect ratio and shit knocked down. Anyway, cool. As you can see, we are in DOSBox. DOSBox is having a little freak out moment, but that is easily remedied by hitting the escape key and just telling it to shut the fuck up. That's what happens when you alt-tab in and out of DOSBox. Don't ask me why. It just goes a little mental. Anyway, everything should be good except the mouse pointer. Would you fuck off, please? So, this is good old DOS. This is good old Space Quest 4. You can see the resource AUD file is 168 megabytes. That one contains all of the sound effects, the voices, all the digital audio of the game. And fun fact, you can actually open up Audacity or any audio editing software that you've got and import that bad boy in It's uncompressed audio, so you can basically just sit there and listen to the entire game just on, as a big as long audio file. Trust me, I've done this. And there are some interesting bits in that audio file, in that resource file, that aren't actually in the game. I'll point those out as we go through the game, but yeah, I might actually, in the wrap-up video, show you a couple of the things that are in the resource audio file that aren't in the actual game itself. Oh, there's a big one coming, actually. I hope I remember that when we get to it. It involves frogs. Let's see, anyway, enough rambling. How about we start this bad boy up? Ye olde CD icon, do not be fooled. Oh, that fanfare. I gotta crank my system up here. I used to have this image, the starry image here, as the desktop background on my computer for the longest time, all the way through 1990s. First little change, in the CD version, there's a little ugly purple shadow on the word Time Rippers. That's been taken out. So we know we're playing the right version here. Now, as the credits roll, hi, Dan Carver, CD producer. He's married to Lorelei Shannon, who created Phantasmagoria 2 many, many years later. These are fun people. I actually asked him at one time what genius went in and reprogrammed the timer thing, and he said, I don't know. And now let's shut up.
Our friend and semi-hero Roger Wilco as he rockets back toward his home planet Xenon, which he hasn't seen since Space Quest 2. Having successfully rescued those two ingrates from Andromeda, he decides a pit stop on Magmethius is in order.
Off he goes.
During
Now,
the descent to this cosmic canteen, he is unaware of the interest that has been generated regarding his fate.
which could be a problem. Now, the one thing that I could not get this thing to do is display subtitles during the intro, so I'm gonna have to shut up as people are talking, which they will in just a second. Oh, they found us. Now, whatever the fuck this thing is doing, no one knows. It's just dialing in coordinates.
We have confirmation of his position, Master.
Off to Magmethius with you then. It is time for Wilco to meet the fate which I have crafted for him.
As
That
our
was-
story begins,
sorry.
we find the aluminum mallard parked outside a seedy spaceport bar.
This alien here actually does a big ol' yuck up and steps in it and melts. In the disc version, he doesn't step in it and melts.
Join
So
Roger as he relates one of his greatly exaggerated tales of adventure. The aliens are only too happy to listen, as long as Roger is fine.
see, the subtitles just suddenly disappeared on us. I don't know why the subtitles are on for the first couple of narrator lines and then just suddenly disappeared up in the air. Also, you don't have to listen to him right now. He's just recapping Space Quest 2 in a stupid
Are
way.
you Roger Wilco?
Yeah.
Please come with me.
And off they fucking go. Oh, this is so great. Look at them mouth agape. We're robots. Now everyone's mouth is agape.
Wilco, surprised to see an old friend?
Yes.
You have no idea how special this moment is for me. This is no chance encounter, I can assure you. I have this one loose end to tie up before
Roger just did that.
my reign as the supreme being of all that exists. I do not like to lose. You are a blemish on what would otherwise be a perfect record of domination, terror, and invincibility. Besides, I'm still a bit miffed about that asteroid deal in Space Quest 2. Anyway, to relieve the pain of my humiliation and to prevent you from being a pain in my future, you must die. It's been nice seeing you one last time. Then, do the dirty deed.
Fun fact, Scott Murphy plays Sludge Vohall here. Yeah, two guys from Andromeda, Scott Murphy. And the sequel policeman was Mark Siebert, the music producer for the
Follow me
game.
and do exactly as I say. Let's move.
Mr. Wilco, follow me and do exactly as I say. I have a very strong, commanding voice, even though it never dropped. That's one of the
Hey,
artists, I
want to
believe,
know what the...
who plays
Listen, I can
Rogers.
explain it all to you now. They've got to be on
Savior.
our coordinates. We've got to move fast. We got to do this fast. Shield your eyes.
Ah, he tried. Oh, he tried. I'll tell you why they...
Time rip. Do it now. You've got to. If I take the time to explain, we're both parking lot pizza. You'll understand soon.
What is that? What is parking lot pizza? Anyway, I'll just tell you quickly. 1991. This is actually one of the first CD-ROM games that Sierra produced, and they didn't really, hiring voice talent for computer games. Who does that? So they pretty much just grabbed Sierra staff in off the corridors, sat them down, and told them to, perform the lines of the game. So that is why you've got people like this unknown rebel warrior who just... Oh wait, can I turn on the subtitles now? I think I can. Yeah, let's click both and carry on. Dramatic.
Now where am I? You wonder aloud to non-existent auditory organs? This place sure looks homey. Hey, wait, this looks just like Xenon. It is Xenon. It's really a pile. Along with the changes induced by an armed conflict, the city looks different, more modern, with a heavy dash of post-disaster seasoning. Casually glancing at the status line, you happen to notice
There's a couple of things here that I want to bring up in a second.
What's happened? Who was that guy with the overdeveloped hairdryer? Why did you let yourself be talked into jumping into some strange shimmering hole? Why are you talking to yourself? These incredibly intriguing questions will quickly be forgotten with barely an electron stirred in that well-armored orb atop your shoulders.
That is one hell of an insult right off the bat there. The two things I wanted to bring up was, first, why is Gary Owens unable to pronounce the word dash? I mean, hashtag second language and all, but he was fucking American. Second of all, the gag with the status line. Some very, clever fourth wall breaking here is that we haven't actually traveled in time, we've traveled in sequels. So this is Space Quest 12, Valhalla's Revenge 2, and that sound you hear is not as ominous as you might think. It's just a cute little bunny who's about to make an appearance. There you go. Hi.
A brightly colored mechanical hair wanders about.
Sorry, hair, not bunny. Fuck it, I don't care. Also, another thing of note, you see this giant, big, red, bulgy sort of building here? Well, how could you miss it? Ooh, very nice. This is one of those odd little changes that was in the CD version rather than the disc version, is that once we're on this screen, you see it's much more red, it's much more ominous. If you're playing the CD version, it has more of a dim, sort of foggy, almost pink color, which is very weird. So we know that the patch has worked. Well, we've done that. We've known that for quite some time now, but yes, the patch actually works. And he's moving kind of slowly, isn't he? Well, that is the speed that the game wants us to play at, but I'm not playing that game. Sir, Jiminy Jaminy, fuck him! Oh, guys, oh.
This is the only form of actual life that you've seen here. Its clothes are tattered, and a grotesque metal contraption is clamped to its head, which serves to hold the eyelids permanently open.
Awesome, right? I wonder if he'll be friends with us. I mean, look at him. He needs a cuddle, right? That's just a friendly greeting. And now he's called over a buddy. We can have a picnic. We can have a... damn it. They killed us.
We're glad you could play Space Quest 4. As usual, you've been a real pantload.
Now, pantload. Is that an acceptable thing to call someone in the United States? I'm not sure. Anyway, holy shit. That, cyborg slash... most people call him a zombie. He's not really a zombie. He's a cyborg. A person later in the game will tell us he's a cyborg. But he is the stuff of nightmares for so many Space Quest players, especially young ones like me.
You want to restart?
Well, hell yeah, I was like 2 seconds into the game. I think I'll be alright. It's reset my speed, hasn't it? Yes. Now let's get a move on, shall we? Let's move over to the left here. Xenon is not a nice place, as you can plainly tell, and once you're on one of these side screens here, actually in danger of the zombie showing up, or sorry, I just called him a zombie, the cyborg, or just the robot Metal of Death just showing up. Anyway, parked car,
A quick
interesting.
inspection reveals nothing of interest other than a glove box.
Oh god damn it! They turned off my subtitles as well. Can't have that.
It looks like a genuine Pocket Pal portable terminal.
And we shall have that
After taking a
indeed.
quick look around to reassure yourself that the place is as dead as it looks, you snitch the Pocket Pal laptop.
Now the Pocket Pal will come back to haunt us in a big way, because it's one of those, it's actually an optional puzzle, but I am going to try and be as completionist as I can in this game. And forgive me for actually just, running through the opening puzzles here. I always get a bit jittery when I'm in this section. Actually, I should be jittery for most of the game, because you are in constant danger of being electrocuted, fucked with Scream Dead, or just anything. Really, I'm gonna fucking die. Yeah, he got me. Let's just enjoy this again, shall we? Oh, fuck no. I am just gonna fucking restart. Alright, let's try that again. We picked up the small, frayed, useless looking length of rope, and we are now going to catch that little bunny. Let's see if I can still bunny snatch after all this time. Come on, you know you want it. Come here. I hope I have the clicky thing on the right.
You start to give the rope a tug, but you realize that the puny little rope couldn't take the strain. Besides, why would you want to catch this grotesque dude anyway? Those sure are some finely honed reactions you've got there. Perhaps you're still suffering from time lag.
I think I may have clicked on the wrong hotspot, but also the game seemed to be under the impression that I wanted to capture Mr. Cyborg here. A little bug, perhaps? Anyway, let's just make sure that we're actually clicking on the right hotspot this time. Damn it, I really wanted to get that in one go as well. Can't win them all.
Timing is a critical factor here.
Can't win them all.
That was without a doubt one of the finest examples of bunny snatching I've ever seen. The stress placed on the rope during the bunny snatching was too much. You cast the useless fibers aside.
I like how the narrators also decided that this activity is now henceforth referred to as bunny snatching. That is exactly what it is. Now, what we're supposed to do is climb in this grate. We have technically done everything that needs to be done on the destroyed cityscape of Xenon, which actually isn't that big of a place really. I can go north here, and then there are two locations left and right, and the same on this screen, and the same on the location south here. So 3, 6, 9. There are 9 screens in total. However, we could get an extra point just for funsies' sake.
The structural warpage and the enormous gaping hole indicate a violent end for this corroding battle machine.
Now, fair play. I think the graphics in this game are awesome, but it took me quite a while to see that this is actually a tank, with the turret facing outwards here. It's a tiny little fucking tank, isn't it? Don't you come near me.
Surprisingly, no one has taken this small, innocuous-looking piece of unstable ordnance.
Well, why would they?
Okay, you now have the unstable ordnance. Remember, it was your idea. Good luck.
Yes, we are now carrying around an unstable ordnance. Now, no points for guessing what that is, but as a 16-year-old foreign kid playing this for the first time, an unstable ordnance? What's an ordnance? I don't know. Does it have something to do with order? Perhaps it's a riot control tool? I have no idea. So, you pick this thing up, and you move away from Mr. Fuck You Pants over here. He's not programmed terribly well. I mean, he does patrol the streets here, but he will also just show up randomly sometimes, so he doesn't really follow you into the next screen. And also, if you're in the middle screens here, you are quite safe. I am, however, just going to save my game here, because I'm going to show you what I happen to know for a fact is Scott Murphy's favorite death scene in this game. So, we are on Xenon, fun place to be. Bring the kids. Everything is pretty much okay. And then we're going to head to the right here, carrying an unstable ordnance for reasons God only knows, and climb in this vent, which is what the game expects me to do now. Everything's done. It's a bit tough there, but there we go.
I would think that something identifiable as unstable ordnance would be low on your list of fun and healthy things to carry.
You would think that,
We hope you'll get yourself together.
but
and
you would
rejoin us.
be wrong.
Isn't
Because
this
what
a
the
laugh?
fuck is an unstable ordnance? Anyway, of course, I know that now because Google was invented since this game was released, and I happened to look up what the fuck an ordnance actually is, but that was an educational moment for me. Also, did you notice that length of time that went between the blast and the grating coming down? Scott Murphy actually joined us for a hangout back in 2012 when they were doing the Kickstarter for Space Venture, and he regaled us with a ton of cool and interesting stories. I'm gonna leave a link to that hangout in the description here. Now, bear in mind this was in 2012, so I look like a complete jackass. But Scott Murphy showing up and telling stories from the ye olden days was just, oh my god, so fucking fantastic. Anyway, he told the stories, amongst others, that he spent so long getting that timing just right with the grating just going like Roadrunner cartoon style. So anyway, we now have the unstable ordnance. Did you notice we actually got a point for picking it up, by the way? Yeah, that's weird. So how about we just go over here and put that bad boy back where it belongs.
A very wise choice. Carefully placing the unstable ordnance back inside the tank, you decide some things are better left alone.
That actually gives you points. Now, I'm not a point hunter, as I've made a point, no pun intended, of pointing out in other videos. I'm not a point hunter. I don't go for the full score in these games. I'm just playing them to have fun and to show you bits and bobs of it. But just the fact that gives you points, picking that thing up, going, fuck no, and then putting it back. Oh my god, it's one of those great dick moves that the Space Quest games have become so infamous for. Anyway, here we are. It's sewer level time. So, yeah, let's just get some exposition out of the way, and I think we're going to call it an episode from there. I think we're well on our way to grand things. Now, first of all, of course, everyone's seen this. That's the first thing you see once you land in here. What is that thing on the table?
It's an empty jar with a lid, neither of which does anything entertaining.
Oh, I beg to differ. Such fun we could have with the fucking liddy thing.
You take the jar into custody.
There we go. And if you've noticed this little thing over here in the
strange
corner...
little pedestal has wires running between it and the wall.
Has it really? Well, there seems to be no way to activate it, does it?
It's just an average old-fashioned desk plotter.
See, there's that pronunciation again. Fashioned. Dash of... I don't know. I would say dash, but maybe I'm just being very posh. Or posh. Fuck it. Let's look under the blotter.
A button. Perhaps I'll give it a press.
First person narration, incidentally. That was a bit weird. Sometimes he's Roger's voice, sometimes he's not. Anyway, let's enjoy this bit of exposition from Professor Lloyd.
I am Professor Lloyd, lead designer of the Xenon supercomputer project, the ultimate in artificial intelligence.
Now on sale, $9.95.
Enhance our lives, but instead ended up being the ruin of us all. We made the
poor
mistake
dude.
of tying it into the most important facets of our existence here on Xenon, including our weather control and defense systems.
It's also one of my
Like a
favorite
sound
music
at the
pieces
time,
in the game.
And all proceeded well for about 3 years. It was around then
Not because
that
of this
a
bit.
deep space salvage operation recovered what appeared to be some sort
You'll
of
find out.
antiquated data storage unit contained in a flimsy cardboard box.
Remember when games used to come in boxes?
The words, Leisure Suit Larry were imprinted. On its back was the picture of a not particularly wholesome gentleman, but that's another story. My counterparts exhibited shameful behavior as they tore open the box.
Horny scientists. What are you gonna do?
I could not understand the commotion it generated.
Really?
The data was
You
uploaded
couldn't.
into the supercomputer for analysis. As a result, a crippling virus spread through the machine like a
Well, what are you
bad
gonna do
flu.
when you install a game you just found
All
floating
control of the
in,
computer was lost.
vacuum of space?
All screens went blank. Then these words were displayed by the monitors and uttered by the vocal outputs. Wilco must
Now, I
pay.
know some
From
of
that
the humor
day
in the
forward,
Leisure Suit Larry
the
games
best
isn't
computer
exactly
waged
highbrow,
war on
but
the
that is some
Xenon,
dark humor,
using
even
our
for
own
Al
weapons
Lowe.
against us. Some managed to escape to other planets. Those of us who remained stayed to fight the machines and robots under its control. It was a bloody war. Those of us that were not killed were taken captive and modified. These
And
cyborgs
how, pray tell?
infiltrated the
Here,
loyal
there you go.
ranks of resistance,
Cyborgs.
rooting out almost all of our hiding places and exposing us to the mechanical menace. Some of these poor
It's
souls.
It's fun listening to this bit because I actually
As of
sampled
this
that for
recording, we
a
are
song
down
that
to
I
only
did.
a handful of rebels.
Never mind.
My health is deteriorating rapidly. To make matters worse, I've just learned that the computer has unraveled the mysteries of time travel.
So that bit that's
That might
in the
invest
music
men
that's going in the
against
background,
the
that's my favorite bit.
technology.
It's so...
If you are not a machine, then perhaps they were successful. Please realize, you are Xenon's last hope.
Oh, cheers, old man. No pressure. No pressure indeed. Now, we are technically safe down here, and Jesus Christ, every time something happens in this game, there's like 10 or 20 trivia stories that just pop into my brain simultaneously, and someone is trying to talk in the game, so I'm kind of reticent to talk over the dialogue because, well, it is quite funny. But anyway, the music that was playing there, Professor Lloyd's theme, was, as much of the music in the game, was composed by a man named Ken Allen, who has quite a number of games under his belt. He also happens to be a good friend of mine, a really nice guy. He slept on my couch once and drank a lot of scotch. That was so much fun. But the theme here actually has some technical fun stuff in it that I don't know if I should bore you with or not. Just briefly, it starts out with this very sunny kind of da 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 da, everything is so nice, and then it goes into that dirge, like dun 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 kind of thing, and that thing would loop forever. But it was the first little secret there. It was the first Sierra game where the music would loop not from front to back and just go all the way to the front again. It would start looping from the middle, and then so it only loops the dirgy part. That was kind of a boring trivia. I've got a better one for you. Remember Roger shooting through the time warp, going down there like that? That tunnel effect is called color cycling. Where it like softly melts colors together to form this sort of tunnel effect. Space Quest 4 was the first Sierra game to use that effect, and to Roberta Williams' great chagrin, because Roberta Williams, designer of the King's Quest series, she had this thing where all the newfangled technology that comes out has to be in a King's Quest game first. Hell, I am one of the co-founders. It is the flagship product of Sierra Online. Every newfangled thing that comes out has to go in a King's Quest game first, and then all the other game series can play with it. Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, Space Quest, and such. But somehow, I don't know how, the programmers of Space Quest 4 figured out how to do color cycling, or they just didn't tell Roberta or whatever. They put color cycling in that time loopy thing there and just got away with it. Space Quest 4 came out, and that's when Roberta saw the game and went, that wasn't in any King's Quest game first, and then head rolled. Heads, plural. A lot of heads. Anyway, I am so rambling. You know what? I'm gonna save all of these kinky trivia stories and shit for next episode. I hope you'll join us. Next episode, we're going to go slime hunting. And no, not Slime Rancher. Proper slime. This is like Slime Rancher Prime. Less bouncing, more hideous flesh melting. Let's put it like that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of Space Quest 4 or Space Quest 12 or whatever. We'll be visiting other Space Quests, don't you worry, but you'll have to check back next Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, not Thursday, as I said in one of the Space Quest 3 videos. It's Tuesday. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. CET. We're playing Space Quest, and next Tuesday is going to be one of those days. So please, like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do, but do leave me a comment, because I truly, dearly love the comments, and be sure to check back next Tuesday for episode 2 of Space Quest, the sewer level. So, thank you, and I'll see you around the corner street.